Joining us now via Skype to discuss this is Benjamin Champman, a food safety specialist at North Carolina State University and creator of something known as the Barf Blog. So, you know, it's interesting because we have some various foods up here, but speaking of raw oysters in particular, how safe are they to eat?
Because they're consumed raw, there's really nothing once they become contaminated that anybody can do about it, because we're going to harvest them and maybe store them refrigerated, but then eat them. With Vibrio, we actually see about 80,000 cases a year in the U.S. And as you mentioned, some of those are from wounds, but a little over 50,000 are linked to consuming undercooked or raw shellfish.
Yeah, and about 100 deaths a year, as I understand it, correct?
Exactly, yeah, and about 100 deaths a year.
If you're going to eat raw oysters, how can you maximize the possibility that you don't get sick?
It's a really, really tough one, because there's always going to be that risk while consuming it raw that you're never really going to be able to fully know.
Even the best restaurants, the best settings, the best sources for shellfish. I mean, it can. My question is, Benjamin, do you eat raw oysters?
I don't, but I'm like...
That's my guy! That's my guy!
I was afraid you were going to say that.
Yeah, right. I guess what you're saying then, just to be really clear about it, is that there's no sign that when you actually look or try to consume these oysters that you're going to know if it's infected with this or any other. There are a number of other infections that you can get, correct?
Absolutely, and this Vibrio is really naturally occurring in water, so you wouldn't be able to smell it, or it wouldn't look any different than if it wasn't contaminated. And beyond Vibrio, we also have risks around hepatitis A and norovirus in consuming raw shellfish as well. So
sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah.
So buyer beware in that regards. Really quickly before we go, I'm curious, Benjamin, since you are the author of the Barf Blog, are there other foods that you avoid?
Yeah, there are a few. I don't drink raw milk. For the same reason as raw oysters. It's just hard to get rid of the pathogens if they're there. And there's been a lot of outbreaks linked to raw milk. And I also don't eat raw sprouts, like alfalfa sprouts or mung bean sprouts, just because of the historical link to many outbreaks.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and then I see meat up here. Can you maybe explain why that's up here as well?
Sure. I do eat meat, but I do ensure that I cook it to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. And it really has to do with contamination maybe being there, and that's my way as a consumer that I can protect myself.
And I would just say to people watching, fortunately, most cases of food poisoning are mild, they're self-limiting. But in particular, I think the people who need to be aware are people who do have compromised immune systems.
Exactly.
I think you need to make it very clear with your doctor, if you do have a compromised immune system, whether or not you want to be eating some of these raw foods. Benjamin, I am very happy you could join us, and keep up the great work with your Barf Blog. And it's remarkable because, Drew, you are very bold. You love beef tartare. You love all this stuff. The alfalfa sprouts, that's an interesting one to me. And so we've even done the mung bean on the show. So I think people just need to be aware of these foods.